Members of the national security elite, you shoulder an immense responsibility and burden. You are the world's savior. You are the source of order. You are the fountainhead of freedom and liberty. You are the god of the state machinery responsible for alleviating the world's ills. We offer you this manual as a guide for operating an empire and carrying out war for the global good. You must never forget that the U.S. security state is our only hope for world peace. Without your strong hand, we are all doomed to a life of anarchic chaos and violence. We must stress, however, that this book must not, cannot, fall into the wrong hands. You must keep it from those who would use it to sow dissension. Above all, you must keep this manual from the American public. Failure to do so would be disastrous. The curtain would be pulled back, and the realities of your operations would be in full view. Setting the narrative and controlling the flow of information about U.S. foreign policy is critical, but who will deliver the narrative? The takeaway is simple but crucial. You must know how Americans consume information and control, or at least have strong influence over those communication channels. In a free society, independent media is necessary. But a free society is not guaranteed without a proactive national security state. So logically, the security elites must proactively influence and control media for the greater good. For the public to be convinced to support U.S. foreign policy objectives, the media must be an integral part of your strategy.
And my source tonight is Dr. Anthony Fauci himself. And Dr. Fauci, it's great to have you on tonight.
Trump says the U.S., of course, is ramping up weapons deliveries to Ukraine. And here's the thing about that. It's actually giving the U.S. military a major boost.
Winston Churchill once noted that, in wartime, truth is so precious that she should always be attended by a bodyguard of lies. Truer words have never been spoken. Whether it is the curtailment of free movement, free speech, or privacy, the public must be made to see these infringements as necessary to preserve safety and future freedoms. Never forget that fear is the foundation of your power over the public and required to get things done. Sacrifice is often needed in order to achieve your goals, and war is no different. If you want to achieve a global liberal order, sacrifices will have to be made. Absent voluntary cooperation, force will be required. You must be prepared to use violence, up to and including killing other human beings. Do not be deterred by the use of these illiberal ends to achieve liberal means. Remember, all of this is for the greater good, the best interests of the nation and the world. You've got to break some eggs to make an omelet. Both the living and the unborn must sacrifice in the name of freedom, liberty, and democracy. We are one nation, a collective, and as a collective, individual people must sacrifice and be sacrificed for the common good. Individualism depends on it. We have emphasized the crucial importance of crafting your narrative, capturing the media, and doing your best to ensure that the public is willing to provide financial and moral support to your noble global project.
It is my duty to the American people to report that renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Unfortunately, there will always be dissenters. Anti-war crusaders, anti-government zealots, fiscal conservatives, and naive peacenik pacifists will inevitably try to disrupt and derail your plans. When this occurs, it is imperative that you act decisively. Dissent is not acceptable when you are fighting for fundamental individual freedoms. Remember that your policies will not always go according to plan, but it's important to know that these failures are not yours. They are the fault of others. Always project perfection, even when things go wrong. Never take blame. Remember that global order and freedom depend on you. Failure is not an option.
I will remind them that history has called us into action, that we love freedom, that we'll be deliberate, patient, and strong in the values that we adhere to. But we can't let the world's worst leaders blackmail, threaten, hold freedom-loving nations hostage with the world's worst weapons.
Moreover, always remember that national defense is a broad and elastic concept. This means that you can define it as you like for your purposes. You have power and flexibility in controlling economic activity. Regardless of how the relationships between government and private industry are formed, it is critical to frame these partnerships in terms of ensuring safety, advancing freedom, enhancing liberty, and safeguarding free market capitalism. In order to protect capitalism, we must suspend capitalism.
I've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system.
A call to arms. To the national security elites, people, both at home and abroad, must be made safe and kept free. As a member of the national security elite, you are one of the few who are capable of achieving these goals. It is the unquestionable duty of the United States, your unquestionable duty, not only to uphold, but also to spread liberal democratic ideas around the globe. Our doing that not only secures our own interests, but also serves as a sort of inoculation against the ideas of our common political and ideological opponents. The only way that this can be accomplished, however, as you know, is with a proactive, military-forward foreign policy. This policy must be carefully planned, implemented, evaluated, and carried out by those with the required expertise, those within the U.S. national security state. In other words, by you. We must stress, however, that this book must not, cannot fall into the wrong hands.